Hey guys, so for today's video, I created 3 eyeshadow looks with the new Sigma and An Knook eyeshadow palette. This palette just launched last week and I'm so excited for An. This is such a cool opportunity for her and I feel like the shades in here are really true to her and the looks that she likes to do. So here are what the shades look like inside in case you haven't seen it yet. Like I said, I did create 3 looks today. For my first look, I created a very cool toned gray, almost entirely matte look and I used mostly this whole column right here. For my second look, I did a purpley and blue look using this whole column right here. And the third look is the one I'm wearing right now with some of these kind of coppery rose gold shades. This one's on my lid. I freaking love it. I did start off this video by talking about some of my first impressions and kind of opinions I had of this palette when I first saw it online and in person. So if you want to see how I did those 3 eyeshadow looks and my first impressions on this palette, go ahead and keep on watching. But before we get started, this video is kindly sponsored by Blueland. A fun fact about Blueland is that they were actually on Shark Tank in season 11 and my boyfriend and I love Shark Tank. Like, we've watched every single season together. So when they asked me if I want to try their products, I was like, I know this brand because I've seen them on Shark Tank, so I was so excited to try their products. So I've been using Blueland products for the past couple weeks or so, and I really have been loving their products and their mission just in general. So Blueland's mission is to reduce single-use plastic. So with their products, you buy the forever bottle and the corresponding tablets. You fill up this bottle with water, you pop in the tablet, and once you run out of cleaner, you simply just repurchase the tablet. You don't need to buy the whole system again. Even the little wrappers that the tablets come in and all their shipping is recyclable. So there's no plastic being wasted, which I really appreciate. The tablets are also really affordable. They start at just $2.25. You can also buy the refills in bulk or do a subscription so you can save even more money that way. So I got the Clean Essentials kit, which comes with a bottle for a bathroom, glass and window cleaner, foaming hand soap, and a multi-purpose cleaner. And then in the kit, you also get a tablet for each bottle. I really do love the smell of each cleaner and they weren't too overpowering. You know how like some cleaners will just give you a headache when like you're cleaning your bathroom, you know, it's a small place, you just cleaned your bathroom and you get a headache from all of the smells. But I'm not having that problem with Blueland's products. And like I said, it's really easy to get your products set up. You just fill up your bottle with warm to hot water, drop in the tablet, and then you're ready to start cleaning. So if you want to check out Blueland's products, click the link in my description box down below and you'll get 15% off your first kit. Thank you so much to Blueland for sponsoring this part of the video. Now let's get into my 3 eyeshadow looks. Alright, so before I get started with the 3 looks, I wanted to quickly talk about some first impressions and like my initial thoughts when I first saw this palette online versus seeing it in person. And I want to see how these thoughts change as I use the palette. So at this point, I haven't used it on my eyes. I've swatched a few shades. So when I first saw this online, my first thought was, oh my gosh, I love the packaging. I love just the simple matte black with her name just in big letters right here. It is just very professional looking and they are calling it a pro palette. I'm not really sure what that means, like if there's something different about it, but they are calling it a pro eyeshadow palette. And my very first thoughts when I saw the inside of the palette was these 3 shades right here looked very, very similar in the pictures. So when I first got it, I was like, I have to swatch these shades because they look similar in the pictures, right? Even right now on camera, they probably look pretty close. So I'm gonna swatch these 3 light shades for you because when I first saw these 3 light shades, I was like, why are there these 3 shades in the palette? But now that I've seen it in person, it makes a little bit more sense to me. So I'm just kind of picking them up right now. So Glaze, Cottage, Gleam. So first of all, as you can see, Gleam right here, it's not showing up very well. I'm actually gonna re-swatch that one just so you can see it better. Pretty much Gleam is like a topper shade that has just like a little white reflection to it that I think you could use on top of almost like any look just to add like a little pizzazz to it. And then the first shade Glaze right here, it does have a slight sheen and shimmer to it. So in my opinion, this would be like my go-to highlight shade out of the palette where I would put on the inner corner of my eyes and like under my brow bone. And then Cottage in the middle right here is a matte white, which is not a shade that I use very often when I do eyeshadow looks. Like I never really reach for a matte white, but I know that in An's look, she does use a lot of matte whites. So I don't know if I'll get a lot of use out of this matte white, but I see for the looks that she creates, it makes sense why she put it in her palette. And then my other thoughts when I first saw this palette is these 2 kind of gold shades right here. I was like, they look really similar in the picture, so I'm gonna swatch these 2 for you as well. And I just want to talk about these first impressions because maybe you guys had the same thoughts as well when you first saw it online, and maybe this will help you decide whether or not you want to buy this palette. All right, so for these 2 gold shades, we have Worthy and Adorn. So this is Worthy, this is Adorn. They look pretty similar, right? Just like that. And then again, Worthy, adorn. First of all, that swatch is beautiful. And you can definitely see there is a difference between these two. I think Worthy is more of a bronze, whereas Adorn is more of a gold shade. I don't really know if you would see a big difference on the eyes with these two, so it's like, I don't know if these were both needed in the palette. And then my other thought when I saw this palette was specifically these like brown kind of medium transition shades right here. So I'm gonna swatch those for you because I have a good feeling about these shades actually. So again, Tan, Cinnamon Roll, Virgo, Nacho Cheese. And this is how I swatched these shades on my hand when I first saw them. And my first initial thought was like, these look kind of like the matte shades in the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill original palette. So I pulled it out. I haven't looked at this off camera, so this is kind of like my first initial thoughts with you guys. If you watch my channel, you know I love this palette. This was like my favorite palette for years and years and years. Okay, now that I'm like seeing these side by side, they definitely look similar, and I'm not mad about that just because like this palette is pretty old. You know, Morphe's kind of having their issues right now. We're not going to get into that, but I kind of like that. I want to swatch these side by side. This intro's me longer than I thought. I'm so sorry, but I'm excited about this. So this is Tan from Sigma's palette. This is MFEO from Jaclyn Hill. They're definitely not exact, but they're pretty dang close. This is Cinnamon Roll from On's palette. This is Pukey from Jaclyn Hill. The tone is kind of the same, but I do think Cinnamon Roll leans a little bit more yellow. This is Virgo from On. That didn't swatch very well, but that's okay. This is Silk Cream from Jaclyn Hill. So kind of similar, but honestly, this shade kind of reminds me of like Orange Soda from Anastasia, which is another shade that I absolutely love. This is Nacho Cheese from On's palette and Creamsicle from Jaclyn's palette. Okay, Creamsicle is definitely a little more pigmented, but they have a very, very similar like undertone to them. Do you guys see what I mean? This also kind of reminded me of, was it like Chickadee from Makeup Geek? I want to say it's something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting when I first swatched those four matte shades. I was like, ooh, I'm getting Jaclyn Hill Morphe vibes, but in a good way because I love that palette. So I kind of love having similar shades to those in Sigma's formula because I do love their formula. I also like the way she laid out the palette, and how I look at this is actually in columns. Like I see these four shades make a beautiful look. Those four, stunning. Boom, boom, boom. I actually just posted a video on like how to use 4 eyeshadow shades. If you want to see that, I'll link it down below. But if you're struggling with coming up with a look at it that way because I think that's pretty easy and those all make sense to me. I also want to say that I love the outer packaging of her palette. This is stunning, and it's really funny because On and I have pretty similar channels. Like we both focus on eyeshadow tutorials and coming up with cool color combos, and we both kind of do like the one-eyed look. So when I saw this, I was like, I am obsessed with this. I think it's so beautiful. Like this just speaks to me and makes me happy. I honestly might keep this outer packaging because I think it's stunning. All right, let's get started with look number 1. All right, so I already primed my eyes with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer, and I did set it with the translucent powder. I'm gonna start with Concrete on a Sigma E25, and let's blend that throughout the crease. I also think these gray shades are really fun because I don't think Sigma's ever done like gray eyeshadows before. Ooh, this is really light, sorry. Kind of fun to see this in their formula. And I honestly don't wear gray eyeshadows a lot, but I do know that a lot of you guys love like cool toned eyeshadow looks. And I think gray is just a fun, pretty color. So I'm just laying this Concrete shade throughout my entire crease. I did just dip back in a few times. Also, what I noticed about this palette is that most of the shades are matte. Like this is a majority matte eyeshadow palette, so keep that in mind when you think about purchasing it or not. Do you like matte eyeshadows? Do you gravitate towards them? Okay, so I have built up this Concrete shade quite a bit, but this is looking beautiful in the crease. I'm gonna try a little bit of the matte white Cottage just on the tip of this brush. And like I said, I don't really use matte whites a lot, so I'm gonna try to use this to blend out that Concrete shade. I'm using Cottage to blend out Concrete, that's what I meant to say. And I'm just using a little bit of this shade. I don't want to use too much of it. Okay, this is looking really pretty, blending out well. I'm going to take a little more Concrete and pack that on the outer third of my lid and connect it into my outer crease right out here. I also feel like when you use gray eyeshadows that like that's the time to play with fun eyeliner looks. Like you could do kind of like a smoky, smudgy black eyeliner or even a winged liner. I just feel like black liner looks so good with gray eyeshadow, so I'm definitely gonna do something like that today. She also does have a black in this palette, so even like a smoky winged liner, I'm still kind of working on my technique for that, but that would be gorgeous with this. I am adding a little more concrete. Okay, I actually like this shade a lot more than I thought I would. It does have a slight kind of blue steel undertone to it. I'm still using the same brush. I'm gonna pick up Leon, and I'm going to use that to kind of deepen up this outer part of the lid. This also kind of makes me want to dip into the purple shades for this look, like gray and purple. That sounds gorgeous together. I don't know, we'll see what I do. And I always say this, but this is why I love using a palette for the first time, because I get to just like do whatever comes to my mind. And I'm really excited about doing more of these like multiple looks in one video where I can like really just play with the eyeshadows that I want all at once. Adding a little more Leon. And I've still only used one brush for this entire look so far. You guys know I love the E25. That is looking really good. The blend looks amazing right now. I'm gonna go back to Cottage, and I'm just gonna lightly pack that on kind of the blank part of my lid, just to give me some kind of base right here. And I'm also just kind of brightening this inner part of my crease with this shade. I'm actually liking this shade a lot more than I thought I would use it too. Okay, I think I want to add either a little bit of the blue or purple. I'm kind of drawn to this shade right here, 1992. It looks like it's right in the middle between blue and purple. Let me just do like, I guess I would call that blue, right? It's so close to being in between blue and purple, but that's so pretty. So I'm going to take a Sigma E20 with this shade, and I'm going to run that across my entire lower lash line. Definitely pulls more blue on the eyes, so I would call this a deep blue. I'm just gonna go back to my E25 and blend around that blue. I didn't pick up any other shadow so far. I feel like this whole look is just making my eyes look grayer and grayer as I go. You know, sometimes my eyes look more blue, sometimes they pull a little more gray. Today's a gray day. I'm gonna add a little more of that blue kind of on the outer part of my top lash line. Just stamping that on and just like slightly flicking this out. I'm picking up a little more Leon on my E25 and kind of pressing it into my outer crease so it's kind of connecting to this little blue line I made right here. You can kind of see I'm making a little bit of a winged out shape where I lifted up that blue, kind of pulling out this gray. Okay, I think I want to add a little bit of black. So I'm going to take my E25 and just do the slightest dip into the shadow, like literally, boop, boop, that's it. And I'm gonna like lightly tap that into my outer crease because I want like a little bit more depth. So I'm using this black just to very lightly deepen this up. You don't always have to use a lot of black. It's okay to use a little bit. So far this whole look is completely matte, which is also kind of different for me. I definitely will still add that shimmer shade, but if you like an all matte cool toned look, this look is for you. Okay, so I do like that. That just very subtly deepened up the outer part of my eye. I'm gonna take that glaze shade on a Sigma E30. I'm gonna go in the inner corner. Oh, that is a perfect highlight shade. It's just like the right kind of tone that I normally go for. Also just a little bit under the brow. So again, if you like an all matte look, I would stop here if I were you. Just do your mascara, lashes if you want, call it good. But I'm gonna pick up this gleam shade on my finger. It looks like that. And that's just gonna go like on the inner part of my inner crease, my inner lid, just to add some fun and sparkle to this. So again, this is a shade I feel like you could really put on top of any kind of look when you just want to add like a little more pizzazz to it. I'm just totally getting like snowflake vibes right now. It's very pretty. I am going to add some black to my waterline for this look, and I'm going to smudge that out with the E20. And then add a little bit of black on the outer part of my top lash line. And again, just doing a little smudge with this brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that deep blue. Just kind of run that on top of the black liner. Alright, now I'm going to go pop on some mascara and lashes on this eye. Alright, here is the look all finished with mascara and lashes. I did touch up the black liner just a little bit in my lower lash line. And for my lashes, I'm wearing my Brand the Bright lashes in the Half Lash Flutter. So here is the final look at look number 1 with the cool tone gray shades and a little bit of blue. Alright, let's get started for look number 2. Again, my eye is primed the exact same way as usual. I think for this look, I want to start with these purples right here. So I'm going to take a Sigma E55 in the shade Jacqueline, and I'm going to pack this shade on my entire eyelid. I love this shade of purple. It's kind of like a royal purple, is that what you would call it? But this is like one of my favorite shades of purple. And I think this shade does have a slight sheen to it, but it is pulling like pretty matte on my eyelid. Alright, so I packed that on my entire lid, and I did bring it slightly into my crease, and I have a nice curved round shape right here. Now I'm going to take a Sigma E33 with this matte kind of lavender lilac shade, and let's use this to blend around the edges of the other purple. I do think that these two shades pair perfectly together. Now I'm actually going to pick up like a mixture of these two shades on that same E33, and that's going to go like directly in my crease. I'm just blending back and forth. Again, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the matte white cottage shade, and I'm going to use that to blend right below the brow so I can get a really seamless blend here. And what the matte white is doing is it's kind of like lightening the edges of the eyeshadow, which makes it look more blended, which I do like this method because, like I said, I don't really use matte white a lot, but this is working really well. Now I'm going to go back to my lid brush with more Jacqueline, and I'm just going to touch up the shade on my entire lid because I did do a lot of blending, so the pigment went away a little bit, which is totally fine. So I'm just rebuilding up this color. For a look like this, I want my lid to be kind of like the deepest and the most pigmented, and then it to slowly fade up into nothingness, pretty much. And then I did pick up a little more Jacqueline on this fluffy brush, and I'm just going to blend that in the crease. Just a slight blend to soften everything out. I'm actually going to try to spray my brush with some spray here, and I'm going to go in with Jacqueline again and see if this will kind of maybe add a little bit of shine to the look, kind of see if this will pick up more of that shimmer. I think it is. Okay, I do think by wetting the brush I was able to kind of show that shimmer a little bit more, which I'm happy with. I'm using that same E55 with Jacqueline on the tip of the brush and run that across my lower lash line. I actually think I want to focus this more on the outer part of my lower lash line because I want to play with that brighter blue a little bit. Now I'm going to go back to my E33 with that light matte purple and just use that to do a little bit of blending and softening right here. Now I'm going to take an E30 pencil brush with this bright blue shade Lana, and that's going to go on the inner part of my lower lash line. And I am kind of like merging the two together in the middle right here. And I'm also going to place this in my inner corner, which is going to look crazy for a second, but I will lighten this up. But I kind of want like a hint of blue in here. Alright, so pretty much I wrapped this light blue all around this inner part of my eye, and then the purple is on the outer part of my eye. I'm going to spray my E30. And I'm going to try to load it up with that really shimmery gleam shade. And let's place that in the inner corner. So it's kind of like a blue shimmery moment in here. Something kind of different, you know? I'm also going to bring a little bit of gleam onto the inner part of my lid. And then again, I'm going to pick up glaze on a different E30. Gonna add a little bit of that in the inner corner as well, and a little bit of glaze under the brow again. And I think for this look I want to do a wing. Alright, there is my black wing on. I'm gonna go pop on some mascara and lashes. Alright, here is this look all finished with the mascara and lashes. Again, I'm just wearing the same half lash in Flutter. I did decide to add a little bit of a nude liner to my waterline. I just used this one from this Tarte pencil, but if I had like a lavender or like a light blue pencil, I totally would have added that to the waterline, but nude will just have to do today. So here is the final look at my second look using the purple and a little bit of blue. Alright, it is time for the final look. Again, I prime my eye the same exact way with the Rare Beauty eyeshadow primer. I'm going to start with the shade Tan on a Sigma E35, and I'm going to blend this throughout my entire crease. Ooh, this is a good transition brown shade. I already love this color. So I did dip back again, and I'm just building up this shade in my crease. Now I'm going to pick up the shade Virgo, and I'm actually just going to do the same exact thing, blending this shade in my crease. Sometimes when you use two browns kind of in the same family like this, it just looks really good when you put both in the crease. Like, I can't explain it. These two shades go perfectly together. They're just blending into like one beautiful brown crease shade. Love this. Okay, now I just have to take this shimmer shade, I think it's pronounced Vachand, on my finger. Oh, here's what it looks like. And this is gonna go on my entire eyelid. Oh yeah, I love this color. This is kind of a unique shade. It reminds me of like a penny, but with like a little bit of rose gold in it. So a rose gold penny, but this is absolutely stunning. And this kind of shade will apply best with your finger. And then I'll just go back to my E35 and blend around the edges of that shimmer right here in the crease. All right, let's move on to the lower lash line. I'm gonna take a mixture of Tan and Virgo on a Sigma E42 and just blend that across my entire lower lash line. Now I'm going to take a Sigma E15 in the shade Cocoa, and I'm going to press that along the base of my lower lashes. And then going back to that E42 with nothing else on it and just blending around that dark brown. Okay, and then just doing a little touch up with the dark brown. I also want to bring that along the outer part of my top lash line. And just like with all the other looks, I'm going to take glaze on the Sigma E30 and pop that in the inner corner. And a little under the brow. Alright, that is it for the eyeshadow for this look. I'm gonna go pop on some mascara and lashes. Alright, here is the eye look all done with mascara and lashes on. Again, I kept it easy using the same exact lashes, Flutter, my half lash. Alright, and here is the final look at the third eyeshadow look I created. Alright, and here is what the full face looks like for this final look. I will list and link everything else on my face down below for you guys in case you're wondering. I do gotta say though, out of the 3 looks I created today, this one is definitely my favorite. Probably because it's the most kind of simple everyday look. Like I could seriously wear this look every single day and be very happy. That lid shade is absolutely stunning. Like I'm just loving this kind of coppery bronzy vibe, but it's not too coppery. Like it's not pulling too orange, which I really like that. I would love to know your thoughts on this type of video for me where I'm doing 3 looks in one video instead of doing 1 look but multiple videos with the palette. So let me know how you feel about this type of format. I do gotta say it was really fun for me to film this. Like this took a couple hours of filming, but I really enjoyed just being able to do a bunch of the looks that first came to my mind when I saw this palette, and I really feel like I got good use out of it today. I do think this is such a beautiful palette. I think An did a really good job, and I feel like these shades do really represent her and the types of looks that she likes to do. Let me know if you're gonna pick up this palette. I do have a coupon code with Sigma. It's just Angela Bright for 10% off. I'm not sure if it works on this palette. I want to say probably not, but if you want to use it on any Sigma brushes, it'll totally work on that. And of course, I will link all the brushes I used today down below. Thank you again to Blueland for sponsoring the beginning part of this video. Again, if you want to check them out, I'll leave a link down below for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.